Nearly 25 years ago, I was living at my parents' old two-story house in the middle of farmland in Florida. They had both moved to a bigger city and were still trying to sell the old farmhouse. I was about 20 and too old to move with my parents to their new place, so they let me stay at the house by myself until they sold it. This allowed me to finish college and save the money I made at my PT job. It was about my third month being there alone. It was about 11:30 p.m. I was reading in my bed upstairs and I heard a loud banging on the door. I walked out of the room and looked over the balcony at the front door, and I saw someone staring up at me through one of the side stained glass panes. It was a man in his 30s. I've never felt such a surge of panic. I called my uncle and it rang and rang. I grabbed the .357 Magnum that my dad had left for me and told me 1,000,000,000 times to keep close to me at all times, and I called 911. Once the dispatch operator was on the phone with me, the guy was kicking at the door, one loud kick every 10 seconds. The 911 dispatcher told me someone would be there in less than 5 minutes and advised me to tell her which room I was in. I was terrified and I could hear the doors starting to crack. I put the phone down and cocked the .357 Magnum and stayed at the top of the stairs. He kept kicking, and as the door was about to give way, he looked through the stained glass window again, right at me. I pointed the gun at him, and he made this expression that I can only describe as excitement. He kicked, and the door gave way and slammed open and broke the window pane. He ran up the stairs, and as he took the first 2 steps, I stood up and shot him right in the stomach. He yelled and fell back and hit the foyer floor and started moaning non-stop, writhing. I stood like a statue with the gun pointed at him until the cops arrived. And when the first officer entered the front door, I pointed the gun at him and he screamed at me to drop it. For some reason, I lowered the gun but couldn't let go of it. He said that everything was gonna be okay, but I had to let go of the gun. A few minutes later, an ambulance pulled up, and for some reason, it wasn't until I saw paramedics that I put the gun down and started crying. The man died en route to the ER that night. The officers told me he had a rap sheet a mile long. He also had a .45 in his glove compartment. They took me to the police station, and my parents drove back that night and took me to their new home. The house sold a month later, and I never stayed there alone again. My uncle was gone for the night to visit his other farmlands in Okeechobee. I don't really think about this event anymore. It takes a specific inquiry for me to remember it. I now have a concealed carry .38 special that I always keep in my purse, and I would never give that up.